So welcome everybody. We are waiting for our moderator, but since it's getting a bit late, we're gonna kick it off. And then if he joins, we will hand it over to him. Yeah, the MANRS Community Meetings are to be moderated by steering committee members. Yeah, this is part of the charter and the way we operate as a group. Yeah, but in the absence of Arturo, I guess something has happened. I will have the honor. Okay, so welcome to the session East of the MANRS Community Meeting. This is the first meeting of the year, and second meeting is scheduled for November already, so I'll share the details with you at the end. And let's see what we're gonna talk about. Well, Arturo is not here, so I'm gonna do this. And this is the outline of the session. We're gonna first have some updates from the Secretariat, which is Close Alliance. Andre and myself, Paulo, are representing the Secretariat of the MANRS Initiative. In this meeting, I'm gonna give some updates on the numbers, how the community is growing and what is happening around the community with figures. And also, Andre is gonna talk about the MANRS development process and what's gonna happen next. Yeah, we've been talking about it a lot in the last weeks, and now it's time. Since the last meeting, we haven't had a chance to inform the entire community about it. Yep. So this is a good update on that. Then we will have a little. So please keep your questions because we have some agenda issues with one of the speakers. They have to start speaking at 11:30 Central European time. I'm calling from Brussels. So we will do the first part of the community forum, which is the debate or the discussion. We will do it right after the presentation from Andre. So if you have questions on my part or Andre's part, say them to them. And then after that, at 11, we will continue with insights into routing security. We have a presentation from Timo Hilbrink, who's already there, and about freedom internet and something I found really interesting in Ripe last week. I asked him to join us, and I really thank you for joining in spite of the short notice. And then we're going to have a presentation by the European Commission with Martin Rudiger and Ioannis Kounolis. They are Ioannis is somewhere there. I saw him a while ago. Yes, I see him now. And Martin will join us at 11:30. And then we're going to have some time to discuss about these presentations. Yeah. So I guess we can kick it off now. My part. So figures, MANRS by the numbers. This is the most important figure, how much we've grown. I think we are growing well. We keep on since our last meeting, the last time we met as a community was in November. It was 29, or no, sorry, 21st or 19. I don't remember the date exactly, but well, since then, there's been a good growth. It's about 3.4% growth. We've grown in the program of network operators. We've grown slightly in the CDN and cloud. Very importantly, we've grown in the IXP program, which is the one that has larger impact in terms of adoption. And for vendors, we stay in 6. Yeah, that number stayed almost from the very beginning. Yeah. In total, now we have 1,237 participants from basically all over the world. Yeah, so it's good news. If we consider the year-to-year growth, it's 10.7%. So that's more or less consistent with the figures in the last years, and well, every month we get new participants. Yeah, sometimes some months are a bit slower because some of the applicants they get stuck with the auditing process, and sometimes they go faster, but it's kind of more or less the same rhythm every month. Yeah. So as I said, we are keeping a bit more than 10% growth every year. It's the last couple of years, 2 years. It's good, but it's not enough. Yeah, you know that we can grow more, and we have to aim at more. Yeah, so we would really appreciate it. We are telling that in every newsletter. If you could spread the word among your clients and peers, and if you could, yeah, try to bring them into the initiative, because as we always say, good routing security can only achieve collectively. Yeah, it's a constant work. Yeah, so please remember to spread the word, to bring peers, partners, clients to the game, and bring them to us, yeah, because we're always open to getting new people. Here you have some links for you to play later. We will share the slides and you can just explore the extra materials that we are adding. So in terms of the state of routine security, the key indicators, yeah, that we share over the observatory. This is November 24. It's a bit difficult to see all this data, but if we move to May 25, which is now, we see positive trends in all the key indicators. That's good news. That's not, we cannot claim that it's only the work of MANRS, but it's positive trend that it's there, and we are sure that MANRS is playing some role here. Yeah, number of incidents is going down, number of culprits is going down, IRR information, the register information is going up. Very ARC-PKI figures are also going up. There's a slight increase in the invalid ones, but probably because of the effort to comply, and the ROVs are also growing, yeah, slowly. So it's positive trends in general, and we are happy about that. In terms of MANRS readiness, this was November. This is a picture from November 2024, and this is a picture from now. Again, it's difficult. They were too large to put in next to each other, but I added a little plus in everywhere where we have positive trends. Yeah, RPKI is growing, IRR is getting better, and this spoofing is also growing. Yeah, so if you can see the little arrows, positive trends in almost everything. Yeah, this is good news, and this is something that we produce for Leslie Daigle, the head of the program where MANRS now lives in the Global South Alliance. He made a presentation at ADIN, and I guess the AI engine is not in my accent and struggling to take notes. Anyway, this is part of a presentation that Leslie Daigle did at ARIN, at the main conference of ARIN, like some weeks ago. And we are very aware that correlation is not causation, but it's very, I think it's a positive thing to see that the number of incidents that we register, yeah, and do it externally, is not only with MANRS participants, it's the system as a whole, and the number of culprits is, the trend is going down, and it correlates at least on the chart with the number of MANRS participants and the percentage of ROA. So it's a positive trend. We believe there is there, and if not, at least it can be inspiring. Yeah, and if you want to see how we want to leverage this and this positive chart, just click here and you'll see Leslie's presentation and what she's working on. Yeah, and what we are working on as a team. Yeah, because MANRS is part of a bigger vision. So now let's talk about impact. Yeah, outreach. We are using, there are many ways of doing metrics. I don't want to bother you with, we basically don't do any hard analysis on metrics. So we go for the easiest way, which is LinkedIn. They help you produce very easy to follow charts. And here we just took the one from the MANRS quarterly newsletter. As you know, we used to distribute the newsletter through the MANRS community mailing list, through the MANRS newsletter mailing list, and through LinkedIn. Yeah, it's a quarterly newsletter. We decided to reduce the number of distribution points to only 2, to the MANRS community mailing list and to LinkedIn. And in LinkedIn, we have the privilege of the luck to have some metrics. And here you see that, well, things are going well. Every quarter, we get more or less the same amount of readers, which is good. That's when we publish the newsletter. The main LinkedIn lead is also growing. It gets more updates than only quarterly newsletters. And also this on the right, this peak here we see is the number of new subscribers that decided to join the newsletter, the LinkedIn newsletter, after we announced that the MailChimp, the dedicated newsletter mailing list was going to be closed because of question of resources. Yeah, so it worked well, well, we got, I think it was 29 new subscribers, which is it's a very good peak. Yeah, At this moment, we have the figure is the next slide. Yeah. So for us, LinkedIn, I know many of us hate LinkedIn. I don't like LinkedIn myself. It's becoming, but it's at this moment it's a good platform to engage and to spread the word. Yeah, so it's the best thing we have, and actually it seems that it's growing well. We are at this moment we have 3,212 followers. 1 year ago it was less than 3,000, so it's a 19% increase in the number of people or profiles following us, which is good news. And the impact of the newsletter is also going high. Yeah, since we started the newsletter, well, in the last year we've had 3,100 views, and more than half of them come from since we last met, since November to now. So I think that's positive trends, and it's also getting impact. We are also working on other social media platforms. We are on Blue Sky. We have 98 followers. Facebook, which is important for some parts of the world. We also are present there. We spread the word of everything we do there. X, it's over 4,000 followers at this moment. That's still a strong platform. As you know, it's going down, but still we have quite an audience there, or the community has quite an audience there. And YouTube, bit more than 600 followers. That's important because that's where we distribute the videos and the training, that so the community can see them and consume them even after we're done with them. Yeah, and of course we have a blog, the quarterly newsletter that is also published through the website, and the MANRS Community Mailing list. Yeah, which is now open to everybody to join. Yeah, so if you are not there, just click the link when I distribute the slides and you can join the mailing list. And as I said, the MANRS newsletter mailing list is now that specific mailing list, which was living in MailChimp, and it was the number of followers was going down. We decided to stop that one. We sent an announcement for those who were following that just to move either to the main MANRS community mailing list or to LinkedIn based on their privacy preferences. And yeah, that's it. So it's now unified into two platform. Yeah, social media versus your individual way of receiving it. So you can pick and decide which one is your preferred. And as I said, please register, follow us, read us, send contributions, ideas, thoughts, spread the word, tag us. If you use social media, if you don't use social media, send us reports, anything. We want you to be active. This is not a one-side effort, it's a community effort. Yeah. So all those resources are service of the community. Yeah. And if you have any suggestions on new spaces to spread the word or new ideas, we are always open to help and to hear. Yeah, that's as I said, it's a community effort, so it's everybody's business. Yeah, to make this grow. So I'm almost done. This is the report summary of the report of 2024. Remember that the last meeting was held in November. Autumn and last part of the year is very active, so we even had time to attend more events after November. In total, we were in 18 countries, either in person or virtually. And when I say we, I include the steering committee members and also the secretariat. So this is the direct speaking opportunities. We covered all the RIR regions, and we're also very active in terms of the internal governance of the group. The steering committee met 5 times, and we also organized 2 committee meetings, as we're going to do this year. We do one in spring and one in autumn, May and November. And we were in Africa, LACNIC, NANOC, RIPE, but also in we're in 2 African-based organizations, REANT, TFC, IETF, ATF, and MOG. Yeah. So it's any opportunities you hear of, please send them to us, and we'll try to make it happen. And 2025 has been very busy. This is the first committee meeting. We're gonna organize one more in November, as I said. We organized 2 webinars around the MDP. Andrea offered 2 webinars in February. The steering committee has met twice, and there's one more meeting at the end of this week, so it's gonna be 3 meetings soon. We're gonna have an election process. We are at the end of the year. We will let you know about that, same as we did last year. There's some renewals in the steering committee members. So far, we've visited 8 countries and 4 RIR regions. So we've been present in Apricot, in ARIN, in LACNIC, and in RIPE this week, but also in events organized by Georgia Tech, by NISA, standardization in Europe, EU Cybernet, which is a European commission project, with experts about cybersecurity, IATF, the Myanmar NOC, etc. Yeah, it's busy. So as I said, yeah, we are very active. But this is a community effort, so it's everybody's work. So please help us spread the word. Please follow the newsletter, please, or just subscribe to the mailing list to receive it. Tag us on contents, contact us about new stuff. Here we are, yeah. So, and that's my part. Andre, now it's your turn. Do you want to present, yeah?
Thank you. Yes. Thank you, Alejandro. I'll present my slides. I think that's...
Yeah, I will stop here.
Okay. Can you see my slides?
Yes.
Yes.
Full screen. Yes. Okay, great. So I'll be talking about some recent developments in MANRS, more on the machinery side of things, like the process side of things, and specifically about the way we develop, adopt, and maintain MANRS documents in a more formalized way, what we call the MANRS development process. If you follow MANRS, I mean, you know that this process has been ratified and adopted on the 4th of April 2025. That opens some new opportunities for us. I'll be talking about that. So speaking about the documents, I mean, those are the documents, the foundational pieces that MANRS is based on. And of course, what we call the normative documents are the actions, the requirements that MANRS puts on the participating networks. And as you know, MANRS has 4 programs: Network Operators Program, IXP Program, CDN Cloud, and Equipment Vendor Program. There is also a charter, the governing document for the whole MANRS community and MANRS operations. And there are some documents that are not normative, that are informational. And I'm using these terms, although we were not using these terms before, but with the advent of the MDP, those terms become important. So the informational documents such as guidance, IXP implementation guide, network operators implementation guide, the requirements for raw management that were developed part of the CDN Cloud Working Group. That's also informational document that is published on the MANRS side and is under the MANRS control. So in fact, all these documents were developed in open, inclusive ways, and I know that some of you actually participated in development of those documents. Every program was developed by setting up a task force, inviting people, open calls, and folks from the community really contributed to the development of those actions. They were not developed by Internet Society or Global Cyber Alliance. They were developed by the MANRS community indeed. But if you look at the MANRS website, it's not clear how they were developed. The process was not well documented. It was not clear that it was developed in this open fashion. Another thing is that MANRS is increasingly being referenced by third parties, also in the policy realm, from policy documents, policy requirements even. But what is being referenced? In most cases, that just the initiative, the website that we host, but not particular requirements and particular documents, because it's very hard to reference them. They don't have real sort of, stable references and document series and stuff like this. So those were 2 objectives of the MDP, to really, underpin the maturity level of MANRS and create document series that can be a reference, stable references, also with revision control, that you clearly indicate which version of the document is being referenced, and the document the process description, documenting the process description that is very clear, the inclusiveness, openness, transparency, and all the other important characteristics of this process. So this is the MDP in a nutshell, and it resembles many other standard or policy development processes that you might have encountered. And in fact, when developing this process, we didn't try to reinvent the wheel. We took relevant parts from IETF, RAPE process, first development process. So it is really a compilation of good things that we saw in other organizations. You might ask why we need another process. Now, this is not a process to compete with any other standard development processes, for instance. This is not a process to compete and create alternative standardization with, for instance, IETF or W3C. But this is really to create the standards in the MANRS realm. So we have version control, we have revision control, and this is controlled by the MANRS community. So no confusion here. Now, here's a more detailed view of this process, and you can see there, all the five parts of it are documented here. So I'll just go very quickly. I'll go through all of them in more detail. But before we go there, I wanted to pause a little bit and see that tell you that there are many other entities involved in this MANRS development process. Well, first of all, it's the Secretariat, whose responsibility is actually to support own the process and see that the process is moving smoothly and all the phases follow the documented process. The steering committee has a very important role. It acquired a very important role in this MDP. It actually ratifies the standards. And it also an appeal body in the standard development process if the process was not followed correctly. So some of the participants may appeal. Of course, MANRS participants. But look, the MANRS community, which was before equal to the MANRS participants, now it's much broader, because the thing is, what we thought is important is that the MANRS development process, while being used in MANRS realm, it still represents a more or less global consensus, global operational consensus. And also we want to as much expertise, not only within the MANRS participants, but also worldwide, to be used when developing those documents. I'll talk about this a little bit later when we talk about the charter review later in my talk, but that's in the context of the MDP, some of the changes that we thought very important to introduce. So let me go very quickly through the process itself. It starts with the proposal. And the proposal can be originated everywhere. Anyone can submit the proposal. There is a mail address that you can send the template. The template is listed in the MDP description itself, or you can use a submission form and submit your proposal. The proposal will be reviewed by the Secretariat to get it to the stage where it sort of, meets the requirements for quality and format. And then it will be forwarded to the steering committee for steering committee consideration. This phase, steering committee may decide to reject the proposal in case it's not relevant or really not feasible. This rejection will be documented and public. So that's the phase. If steering committee decides that's a good idea and needs to be developed further, we move to the next phase, and this proposal or development of a new standard will be announced. It will be announced on the MANRS community mailing list, which is bigger than MANRS participants, as I just mentioned. Now, in many cases, the proposal might need some work, and details need to be fleshed out, and maybe the substance of the proposal need to be developed. And for this, a working group needs to be formed. So at this stage, a working group will be formed, and it will get on to work on the proposal. Now, there is no time specified because it may take a while to develop the actual proposal, but once it's developed, once the working group is confident that the proposal is in good shape, it will declare a working group last call, which will last for 2 weeks, after which it will notify the Secretariat that this phase has passed. Now, the next phase, assuming that working group reached the consensus, is the call for comments. This call for comments lasts for 4 weeks and open to the whole MANRS community. Everyone from the MANRS community can contribute, can provide their comments, and the steering committee will decide after 4 weeks if consensus has been reached, If the feedback needs more work and the working group needs to update some of the things, but assuming that we reach the phase where the MANRS community is happy with the shape of the proposal, it will move to the MANRS last call. Now, why do we need two last calls? This is very relevant for normative documents because while the community may comment on some documents, it imposes certain requirements on MANRS participants. So it's very important that MANRS participants agree with those requirements, and this agreement is explicit. So for this, we have MANRS last call, which will last for 2 weeks and hopefully reach consensus. Then the proposal moves to the next and final stage, which is ratification and publication. The steering committee is responsible for ratification, and well, it might happen that proposal doesn't reach consensus and need to be, for instance, rejected. There might be some cases which are not shown here, but if we encounter, we'll see how we handle them. If MANRS last call doesn't reach consensus because it needs more work, I guess we'll go to phase 7, and working group will work on this and go through the process again. But in the good outcome would be if proposal is approved, ratified, and published. Now, as I said, the MANRS development process also establishes the document series, and the document series has a naming and a version control. So by looking at the name of the document, you can clearly say that this is a proposal or this is an approved standard. You can see what is the version of this document. So there is no confusion about which version of the document need to comply, for instance. There are some special cases in this MDP. For instance, some cases, the proposal is so well developed already that a working group doesn't need to be formed. Well, that was actually the case for the MDP because we approved and ratified the MDP using the MDP draft process itself. And for this, what we call a MDP Lite. Is the proposal where the working group is not created and we move straight to the call for comments. That simplifies the process, that shortens the time for the development and doesn't compromise the quality of the proposal. So that's what we used for the MDP. Now, all amendments for the MDP itself will follow through MDP Lite as well. There is also handling of technical and errata data, editorial errata. This is not technical substance, that really like commas and dots that are missing. And for this, we would like to use the well-worked process in the IETF. And in this case, the ISG role will be taken by the steering committee. Now we have some differences because IETF, you know probably that the IETF errata doesn't change the specification itself, so you really need to apply all erratas on the RFC to get the final version that you can use, which I think may be a bit confusing. So the community decided in this case that when errata is adopted, the specification will be updated. Incorporating this errata in the document. Now, as I said, it's ratified and it's published. If you are interested in reading the MDP itself, that's where it should go. It has a number now, MANRS 001. That's first document. You can see it's normative, it's approved. It is approved on 4th of April. So that brings all transparency and clarity here. Now, with MDP out of the door, we have opened a road to review of some other documents. Some of them are quite old. Some of them haven't been reviewed for several years while the technologies and the landscape is changing. So, for instance, if we look at NetOps action, one of the things that MANRS was often praised for promoting RPKI, but the little secret is that RPKI is not mandatory in MANRS, and I think that might need to be fixing. So there are some questions that might be discussed by the MANRS community and MANRS participants, whether we would like to maybe require ROV more explicitly, whether we want to make RPKI registration mandatory. And here I have a chart, for instance, how the MANRS community or MANRS participants comply with this potential requirement. 68% are fully ready, but there are also some percentage, 16% of all participants that haven't even started registering RPKI. So how we grandparent the stuff, that's part of the discussion. As you may know, there was some work done by the MANRS Plus working group, and MANRS control metrics is published. And some of the requirements are better fleshed out there, and there are more stringent requirements there. So maybe it makes sense to look at those requirements, at those controls, and start incorporating this in the baseline MANRS, raising the bar a little bit. For instance, BGP session protection, which is very important, not part of MANRS, baseline MANRS. Peer lock. Maybe we need more elaborate audit requirements so there is no confusion and no sort of, ambiguity when MANRS participants are being audited. And maybe we should also look at some initiatives in the community, such as trace back of the spoof traffic. So those are just thoughts, and just to give you an idea that there might be some more work ahead within the community. Now, if you look at IXPs, you may know that in the IXP community, there's some discussion about the making validation process by the route server more robust and more secure. For instance, there's some discussion about requirement or using auth IRRs. There was an excellent presentation at the RIPE meeting last week about this point, which should improve the quality of the validation process. Maybe we should think of a sort of recommended standard validation process, because right now it's not really documented. Now here, the diagram I present here, that's the standard validation process that is implemented in the IXP manager, but other IXPs that are not using IXP manager may use their own process, and therefore the members may be confronted with different requirements and different validation process and different outcomes. Maybe we need at least to have a recommended action on the standard validation process. Now, so much about the actions and possibilities to review there. As I said, there is also another document, which is charter. And as I also mentioned, the MANRS ecosystem has changed since the last adoption of the MANRS Community Charter. For instance, MANRS Community has grown, it's de facto grown more than just MANRS participants. I mean, indication here is that I'm sure that some of you are not MANRS participants yet, but still participating in this meeting. So you have interest, you support MANRS objectives, and you can share your expertise with other MANRS participants and MANRS community. So that's one of the change. The steering committee is getting more responsibilities as far as MDP is concerned, and we probably need to make more clear what the role and responsibilities of the Secretariat are. So if you look at the current version of the charter, some of the things need to be updated, not just replacing the Internet Society, which was the former Secretariat of the MANRS initiative, to Global Cyber Alliance, which is the current one, but more substantive changes, such as more clarity on roles and responsibilities and expectations from different entities participating in the MANRS ecosystem. So this table basically sort of it's a reduced RACI table, if you know what it is, and it basically outlines different roles of different entities here. So the work ahead that is already being discussed and will soon be probably announced by enter the MDP and be announced is the review of the charter, to bring this in line with those requirements, those expectations. And of course, this is just a proposal. We expect community discussion, community feedback, and hopefully ultimately a new version of the charter that will be aligned with today's reality. And I think that's my last slide. So thank you very much.
Good. So good timing. And I don't know if there are any questions. I'm gonna share my screen now just to guide us. Well, it's not necessary. It's a community forum basically. So I don't know if there is any questions, comments. Here, you see it now, yeah? Yes, good.
Yes.
So does anybody have any comment or? Has anybody of you submitted any comments on the MDP or has any thoughts about it? Okay, so I'm a bit worried. Ioannis and Goran.
Hi, Alejandro.
Georgios, please. Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah,
I know.
just on the
Yeah.
question for the comments. So I had comments on MDP, and they were more related to to clarity from the perspective of the actions and the normative documents that MANRS will produce and what IETF is doing. But I think that was already very well worked out. So thanks very much for that.
Yeah, that's the value of call for comments. And Georgios, very many thanks for your comments. They were incorporated in the another version of the draft and now in the MDP. Hope you can recognize there.
Yes, thank you.
I think everybody has the link to the MDP, just in case. I will share it. There you are. So you are welcome to, yeah, always participate. Yeah, that's what we've been saying across the meeting. Let me just share here.
Excuse me, Alejandro.
Yeah, Joran, please.
Yes, you mentioned my name or?
No, but.
Oh, sorry. I thought you. Sorry, I heard Goran, but I didn't know if you mentioned me in my name because my the first letter of my name can be pronounced in different ways in different languages.
No, I'm sorry, but I don't know if you want to say anything from the perspective of
Well,
Martin Sassi.
I just want to say that I'm participating as an observer because we in a previous meeting we in a smaller in a smaller group we discussed the probability of testing the MANRS standard for comply or explain for the Dutch form on standardization. So I have to keep an independent position in this situation. So that's why I'm here as an observer. And that's it.
That's good, and we really thank you that you could make it and join us because it's.
Thank you. Yes.
This, as Andrew was saying, is also very important to start also opening the community to experts in other fields that can help us in the work. Yeah. So the idea is to keep on growing and to keep on building more solid process and the like. So I don't know if anybody has any questions. If not, we can move to Timo. I don't know, Timo, if you're ready. I wanted to ask Ioannis or Goran. I said Goran, not Joram. Yeah, Goran Milenkovic, yeah, from the European Commission.
Because I understand. Thank you.
Yeah, now I understand also the confusion. Yeah, Ioannis or Goran, I don't know, because Martin said he could only join at 11:30. I don't know if you have any news from him. Otherwise, we will kick it off with Timo and let's see. We can fill the time. We can do some questions or debate before. Yeah, Ioannis, please.
Yes, good morning, Alejandro. No, I have no news from him. Well, I know what you know. I think hopefully he should be able to connect even before 11:30. But if needed, I mean, if we need to go before that, maybe I could start presenting. But I can double check. He had to move somewhere. That's why he said 11:30. But I can check with him in case. But please start with other presentations, and then we.
Yes, we'll see because we're a bit ahead of time. I saw a hand being raised. I don't know if that was it Panteleimon? I don't know. I saw a hand raised, but if nobody has any further questions, I can give the floor to Timo. So Timo, please, all yours. Thank you, El. Do you have sharing rights? I think I gave you. Yeah. You should be able to share. I don't know if, I think there's issues with your sound. No, I cannot hear you at least.
Can you hear me now?
Yes,
Yes.
loud and clear. Thank you. All yours now. Thank you.
Can you see my slides?
No, I can't. Can anybody else see them?
It says I'm sharing, so
I can see them.
You can see them. Okay, so it's my problem. So that's good.
okay. Then I'll start. Some of you, if you have been at the RIPE meeting last week, you might have seen my presentation there. This is a slightly compressed version of that, with some more details on what we do on MANRS. All right, so how to start an ISP from scratch. The first question I usually get when I put up this slide is, why would you start a new ISP right now? For that, we have to go back a little bit in history. That was the history of Access for All, the first Dutch ISP for end users, for consumers. It was founded in '93 as an offshoot of Hactic, the hacking initiative here in the Netherlands. It was sold to KPN Telecom in 1998 due to financial reasons, but remained an independent subsidiary and with its own network, infrastructure, systems, and staff. It grew to become one of the larger ISPs, and in 2019, KPN announced that they were planning to remove Access for All brand from the market and integrate all customers into KPN. This is a news article was published in January 2019 about that. Our customers, the Access for All customers, were really unhappy with this decision because they feared that a lot of the technical benefits of the subscription would disappear. So a petition was launched, as you can see there. Access for All must remain, Access for All moet blijven in Dutch. This petition was signed by 55,000 people within 4 weeks, and an action committee was set up. As an action committee, these are actually customers of our Access for All protesting in front of the Rijksmuseum in Amsterdam because they felt very strong about this. And at the moment, there was a shareholder meeting from KPN going on in a museum. There were protests outside the office. There was graffiti, and of course, there were T-shirts. Gotta have T-shirts. Meanwhile, the Works Council of Access for All started a court case against KPN at the business chambers of the court to argue that dissolving Access for All would be a negative financial impact and would drive customers away. However, after a long court case, it was over, and the process to integrate Access for All into KPN had started. That was plan A, to save Access for All. That didn't work, so we needed plan B. And the plan B was to start a new ISP built on the same values that Access for All had, and with safeguards in place to make sure that this scenario could never be repeated. The action committee started a loan-based crowdfunding in November, with a goal of 1.25 and a minimum goal of 1.25 and a maximum goal of 2.5 million euros. This maximum goal was reached in 4 days by more than 3,000 investors. They gave a loan for 3 years. So with that, there was a fresh start for a new ISP called Freedom Internet. Freedom Internet has security and privacy by design, digital freedom, no surveillance, transparency, modern internet standards, a safe and open internet, and of course, excellent technical support. There was also a method in place to stop this from happening again, which is a separate non-profit foundation, which is dedicated to its mission, preventing external investors from influencing decisions. And this structure safeguards Freedom's long-term commitment to providing the privacy-focused services. Now, you might be wondering why you're looking at a picture of an apple pie here, but this is because this foundation, the non-profit foundation that's governing it, is called Stichting Appeltaart, or the Apple Pie Foundation. This foundation holds a part of the shares of Freedom Internet as well as a preferential share. This means that the foundation has the power to veto changes that are not in correspondence with the corporate charter of Freedom Internet. When Freedom generates profit, part of this will flow into the foundation. And in addition to this foundation, you'll see the logo there of Bits of Freedom, which is the Dutch digital rights organization. They own the domain name freedom.nl. They already owned that before the ISP was ever founded, and they loaned it to Freedom Internet, which means that if they don't agree with what we're doing, they could actually reclaim their domain name and render Freedom useless, as it wouldn't have its primary domain name. So in 2020, we started the first fiber to the home connection, and we started with a couple of small batches to train our home brew order management system. We started with batches. You can see where it went. So after about 2,000 successful connections, the system was ready, and we started connecting customers in larger numbers. Now, when we went from startup to growth, we needed more money to invest in equipment. So more financial resources were needed. This time we offered customers to buy certificates in the company. We did this in a few batches, and the shares were offered at 250 euros. The first round was a minimum of 2 million and the maximum of 4 million. In other words, that's 16,000 certificates, and that number was reached within 2 weeks. And then there was a second round in December 2022 with a maximum of 750,000, minimum of 750,000, maximum of 1.5 million. Also, this was sold in a couple of weeks. This gave the base for a real company and an ISP, which core values are internet, privacy, security, transparency, and we implement this in a number of ways. For example, we never record customer personal data unless absolutely necessary. We do not share these customer data with partners unless absolutely necessary. And you should think here of things like date of birth or gender or details like that. They don't really matter to us. We don't need to know them, so we don't record them. Sometimes partners will require these numbers to be entered into the systems in order to get services. But in those cases, we just fill those fields with random data because, for example, if you take a TV subscription, they don't need to know your phone number or your date of birth or anything. We don't use third-party cookies or tracking links or pixels on our websites and emails, only fully anonymized functional and analytic cookies. We don't use any cloud storage or cloud applications, so no Azure, no AWS or anything like that. In internal communication, we never share personal details, but only links to a customer database, so that if an email would leak out, there would not be any data in there, only a link to a system that's only available internally. We implement latest ciphers for TLS, keep log order records only for as long as strictly necessary, and we use about 99% of our software that we use is open source. Here are some of the open source packages we use. We use Proxmox virtualization cluster with Debian VMs on it, and a whole lot of software is there, mostly managed by Ansible. But you can see all the other packages that make Freedom work. With some technical challenges, the easy ones were setting up a network with a couple of data center locations, peering and transit. But the hard part is dealing with the fiber to the home infrastructure in the Netherlands and the logistics of unbundled access, which means that the layer, the physical layer and the actual IP layer are separated. And as an ISP, have to deal with operators that provide traffic in between the fiber and the ISP. Freedom deals with 6 operators, each with their own pricing, availability check, order management, etc. And we have to deal with about 20 local loop providers, so the physical infrastructure that is in the ground. More than 10 types of fiber termination units. And in most cases, every operator and local loop combinations has an own set of equipment. So it is for Aon active optical network. We have about 8 types of network termination units and about 10 types of ONTs for passive optical network. This is very challenging for our order management system, and that's the biggest challenge we have. So where are we now? 6 years on, we're still growing, and we have been awarded 10 times now the best all-in-one internet service provider by the Dutch Consumer Board. They have panels with users of the different ISPs, and those users rate their own ISP 4 times a year, and we came out best 10 times, and that is so like 8 of those make up 2 years in a row. You see a picture there of the badges we have on our wall. The 10th one is still missing because that's in the post. That we got that in April, and that should be on the wall soon. We're of course a MANRS participant since July last year, and of all Dutch ISPs, we have the largest footprint, as in the most addresses where we are available of all internet providers. And about 16 of us were working to further improve our existing services and develop new services that our customers are asking for. We have a very lively community forum on a discourse server, and our customers are they call themselves members, participate there to give us information about their requirements and things they think we should do. As I said, we were a MANRS participant. It took a while for us to get there because I only started there 2.5 years ago, and one of my first goals was to have Freedom join the MANRS initiative, because we think it is a very active part of our important part of our commitment to help make the internet better and safer. And we also feel it's necessary to safeguard our customers against malicious activities, but as well ensure that our network does not become a source of harm to others. This is also why the logo of MANRS is on our website. And the front page of our website, you can see the logo, and we think that it is important to show that we take things serious, and we hope that it will encourage others to do the same. We actually also posted this in our newsletter on. We have a newsletter that comes out regularly, and we posted here as a Google translated into English, but we posted a message there to show that we joined MANRS. The most important things that needed to be done for freedom in order to join MANRS was anti-spoofing. The filters were not really in place properly when I joined there, so that was one of the first tasks I got, was to set anti-spoofing and also do ROV. We block invalid announcements. So that was actually the two biggest things that needed to be done, and that was what we did to reach the participant level. That was it from me. So if you have any questions, I'll be here.
Thanks a lot, Timo. Yeah, I'm here. And thanks a lot for the short notice. Yeah, I saw your presentation in private. I thought it was very interesting, and this way I would like to maybe ask the other participants in this meeting, because we've heard some ISPs that they don't want to show MANRS participation. Yeah, and they're shy about that, or they follow the actions, but they haven't joined the initiative as participants. Yeah, and in your case, you're a proud member. You give your reasons, better contributing to a better internet, not to become a source of problem, visibility, and show example to others. Yeah, that's very important. I don't know if we have any other ISPs there, or any of you would like to comment on these aspects. Yeah, how could we help others take the step, yeah, and be more visible about MANRS participation? Maybe Andre, you have bigger experience. You have been here forever. Or Timo, or Andre, yeah, whoever, please.
Yeah, I'm wondering, are there people in the call now that are shy about putting their logo on their website or sharing their participation?
Yeah, we've had some of those comments. Andre, I don't know if you want to say something about that.
Yeah, well, the question comes up and once in a while, and in the beginning of MANRS, it was a really strong question. Many ISPs I spoke, they said, we implement the actions, but we see no need to, join the initiative. Since then, we also improved on transparency and credibility of the effort, because by some people, MANRS is seen as just a website and self-declared compliance, while the MANRS Observatory is measuring the compliance with some caveats. I take it, but it is a more or less credible measurement. So it's continuous auditing process, and third parties can look and see how MANRS participants are performing. Well, of course, that creates another sort of, counter argument that, well, maybe I don't need this transparency for my operations, but that's a different question. And we constantly working on sort of the business case for MANRS, joining MANRS. And one of the things that implementing MANRS actions is, of course, has a business case. I mean, for instance, you don't want your customer become your transit provider, right? So you want to implement certain level of filtering. But as far as MANRS is concerned, I think the main thing is that you're joining this community and you're demonstrating that those practices are real. They are not paperwork. They're feasible and can be implemented. And that creates gravity. And I mean, hopefully, what the graphs that Alejandro showed in his presentation, there is some causation there, right? That MANRS really was part of the things that stimulated RPKI adoption and better filtering hygiene. So there is, contribution to the public good aspect here as well. But I see Jan raised the hand, and he maybe has first-hand experience.
Yes. So in a past life, I used to work for AS5607, and I got us signed up in about 2013, sometime around then. The big issue really was about putting the company name officially to something and making sure that management understood they were committing to commit to the MANRS actions forever, not as a thing to get and then forget about. It's the fact that once it's done, it's a commitment to continue all those things. In reality, we did them all anyway, because it's no good having your own customers spoof an attack against you from on net. So there you go. Thank you.
That's really valuable. Thank you, Ian. Stavros,
Yeah.
please.
Yeah, first of all, congratulations to Timo and for the lovely presentation. I also saw the presentation in the right meeting, and I know Timo from his Access for All days. I'm sure they do excellent job. I'm also an old Access for All customer, happy. So I'm looking forward to move to Freedom as long as my fiber connectivity finishes in this freaking building. I was surprised now to learn about people not putting the logo of MANRS in the website and actually refusing to show that they're members of MANRS, even though they do the actions. That's new to me, to be honest. So far, I had the impression that only the people who follow the practices, ROV filtering and so on, they will be happy to put the logo, but now seems there's more people doing stuff without advertising it. So that's new. But what are the actually the reasons? Is it because they afraid they're gonna lose customers? Like, okay, these guys are doing ROV, so they don't accept my prefixes, so I'm not going there. Is it something like that, or is it because it messes up with the company's marketing style on the website? Do you guys have some more insights about it? And also, how can we mitigate it? Shall we try to follow strictly what exists in the MANRS website, because you have the members, right? So I guess that should be up to date and should be the source of truth, other than going to the company website and check if they follow MANRS. Sorry for the long comment, or yeah.
I think it's a very good. I'm new to I honestly wanted to bring this up because I was surprised last year. You know, I'm new in MANRS and all that. Yeah, I was surprised to hear that. Yeah, in a couple of conversations. So this is why when I saw Timo's presentation, I said, okay, this is a very good opportunity to bring it up for the community. Yeah, so that is. I've heard it's a question of management and the kind of marketing strategy they agree, but I'm sure Andre has, because Andre, I don't know if it's solely the top management or convince the top management, because this correlation causation thing.
Well, the
obviously
thing
people
is,
are doing stuff.
I'm not aware, and I'm not sure we really monitor that people are reluctant to advertise their MANRS participation. I was referring to cases what Ian also mentioned, that people are reluctant to join MANRS even if they implement, in fact, all the actions. And that's, in some companies, there are huge gap between the engineering team and management team or business team, and you need to go through the hoops of conforming this. But I know that quite a few very big network operators and quite a few very big internet exchange points are actually proud participants of the MANRS initiative, M6 including, I hope. That proves, yeah, that there's some individual circumstances. Well, I'm really not aware that people are reluctant to show their MANRS participation when they joined the initiative, because we advertise this on the social media, and I don't think we heard any complaints about that. Oh, you should be, quiet about those the stuff. So, but I think maybe a good idea to really look through all the participants and see how they reflect MANRS participation on the website. Because part of MANRS, so that the spirit that you promote MANRS, being MANRS participant, you not only implement the controls, but you also promote MANRS. That's the whole thing, right? That's how that can scale. If we just do this by presentations, it doesn't scale at all. So yeah, maybe it makes sense just to have a better idea of how people promote MANRS in their own sort of realms.
So maybe new ideas for the next community meeting or the newsletter or the exchanges we have, yeah, the MANRS community mailing list, because maybe it's a good way of increasing participation also, yeah. So I think we have to be more open. We have to make more t-shirts, Andre, and to make more visible things, yeah, that people can be more visible about it and show the example as Timo was suggesting. So yeah, I guess it's on the list of things to do, yeah, to increase participation and visibility. I don't know if there's any more questions. Timo, any comments or no?
No, thanks for the chance to speak to you.
Yeah, thank you for bringing this up. Yeah, it was very, very interesting, this perspective, actual for a real ISP. So I don't know, Ioannis or Goran, are we ready to go? I know I'm sorry, it's 20 minutes before we had agreed.
No problem, Alejandro. So Goran can take part, can start the presentation and present Rudiger's part. That he's very sorry to be late, but hopefully he will be in the Q&A because he's from Rudiger is from DG Connect, so he's really the expert on the policy part for any questions. But we can start. There is no need to further wait. So Goran can start, and then I can take over for the rest of the presentation. Thank you.
And again, Ioannis, Goran, and Martin, thank you for presenting. I know it was also short notice, but you were talking about the MANRS committee. I saw it was a great opportunity to do this meeting, yeah, because the next one is going to be in November, and I saw your your roadmap, and it's already, yeah, you want to be fast, yeah. So let's be fast. So Goran, all yours, please.
Thank you very much. Just sanity check. Do you hear me? And can you see the slide?
All good.
Excellent. So thank you, Ioannis. Thank you, Alejandro. Thank you for inviting us first to reach out to you as one of the most important communities that we want to engage with in this initiative. So I will try to cover first this first part, which explains a little bit the background of this initiative from the regulatory perspective. Once Rudiger is back, we'll pass on all the difficult questions to him, but I will try to explain where this is coming from, basically. Okay, so first things first. You heard of NIS2, or NIS2 is a directive that is supposed to improve the level of cybersecurity across the union. It follows on NIS1 directive, extends its scope, and so on. So being a directive, as you probably know, under the EU laws, it has to be transposed into a national law by every member states. And this transposition is, from what I know, largely done. So there are now national pieces of legislation in different EU member states that implement, that transpose this into national legislation. But then on top of this, this is what brings me here, on top of this directive, Commission can put in place implementing act or implementing regulation. That is a regulation that automatically becomes applicable across EU. That's the difference between directive and the regulation. And that happened in October last year. So there was this implementing regulation. And basically the purpose of this is to specify, to further, so this kind of legal acts like implementing regulation are put in place where there is a need to further specify how some things that are in the directive should be done. So in the NIS directive, there are relatively, not relatively, but high level requirements for different sort of entities to implement different things, mainly from the perspective of security. Now the implementing act, this one, defines further details how that should be done. And specifically, it includes here two things, which one is what I highlighted on the screen: technical and methodological requirements for cybersecurity risk management measures, basically security requirements to be fulfilled. And the second part, which we'll not cover because it's not relevant here, for how to determine what's significant incident or not. So what is the regulation is about: technical requirements, security requirements. For whom? This is now what is being highlighted here in yellow, for a large set of so-called entities, in the terminology of NIS2, being in DNS service providers, TLD name registries. I'm not going to read through all of them, but they are highlighted here. So basically, these guys, highlighted in yellow, have to implement a set of these security requirements. So that's the simple concept. Now, these requirements are listed in the annex of this regulation, and if you would go there and read through this annex, you would find, there would be no surprises. You could find things that you could map to ISO 27001 or to many other frameworks and standards. You could find security requirements related to risk management, incident handling, supply chain security, the usual things. And there are also network security requirements. Now, under this network security requirement, this is what brings us to this. So in this annex, there's a section related to network security, and there is one specific requirement, which I will highlight now here, which says that among all other network security measures, again, expected ones to have documented network security, network architecture in place, to all the usual things, there are some very specific things, and I want to highlight them. This is also where your community comes into play. The sphere of interest. So first, it says here that these entities that are highlighted in yellow should adopt, it doesn't say immediately put in place, but it says adopt an implementation plan for the full transition towards latest generation network layer communication protocols. Basically, for all intents and purposes, read it IPv6. Then second one says, again, these entities, these TLD operators, DNS, all these companies should adopt, again, an implementation plan for deployment of internationally agreed and interoperable email communication standards to secure email. So they came, DMARC, SPF, this set, or some of them, or all of them, this is to be decided, again, to implement an implementation plan. And finally, what's probably most applicable to this meeting is these two other things, to apply already best practices in security of DNS and for internet routing and security routing hygiene. So these now become legal obligations for those who fall under the implementing act. And finally, to conclude this, my presentation, or my part of the presentation, in the same sort of law, in the same implementing act, the legislator itself recognized that, this is, it's tricky. The fact that this is not easy is actually written down in the law and in the recital 8, and it says, yes, there are specific challenges regarding the identification of best available standards and deployment techniques and so on. And in the legislation itself, it says, for this purpose, because it's challenging, why don't we create a actually it says it should create a multi-stakeholder forum. So commission us, in cooperation with ENISA, which we are working with, and we will work with them, should put in place a multi-stakeholder forum to identify these best available standards and deployment techniques. So in a nutshell, to conclude, there is an NIS2, then there is an implementing act which defines specific requirements. These specific requirements includes things related to, for example, routing security that now become legal obligation of some of these entities. And in order to do this, the idea is, let us create a multi-stakeholder forum to come up to help these entities implement this, basically. And now I'll hand over to Yanis, who will explain what is our idea of how this forum could be put in place in a simpler and non-intrusive way, and what it should be, what it should work on, and what it should come up with. But I hope this gave some idea of the background. Yanis?
Yes, thank you, Goran. Maybe it's easier if I share the screen.
Yeah.
So I think it is this one. Okay, can you see my screen and hear me well, I hope?
Yes.
Yes,
Perfect.
great, thank you. So as Goran said, so I will continue with the more, let's say, practical things of the forum. So starting with the objectives, which were pretty much kind of set by Goran, but it's good to repeat them in a way. So the key objective, of course, is to provide guidance, although on all the relevant entities that were mentioned in the Implementing Act, on best available standards and best practices, and quite important, on the corresponding deployment techniques for those standards. Of course, all this has to be done in optimal timeframes, right? Apart from the key objectives, we believe that this forum will contribute to achieve a high common level of cybersecurity. And of course, it will foster cooperation and collaboration with all the various stakeholders. And quite importantly, it will accelerate the deployment of several standards that are slightly left behind. So the tasks of this forum, as you will realize, they are very closely linked to the objectives. However, first of all, we need to define and agree on the rules of engagement that such forum will have. As you can imagine, it will be complex in some ways with many stakeholders and different tasks. And then in the actual work, to identify the best available standards, identify the key challenges that this will have, and recommend options for addressing them, provide and the best deployment techniques. And as I mentioned previously, to identify the optimal deployment timeframes for each category. This is a very important aspect. Of course, the final output is to have a set of guidelines for each of the 4 categories that could contain the various deployment consideration and the implementation roadmap. So the 4 categories that were mentioned at the beginning, but it's how this forum in the end will be divided. So it's the network layer communication protocols, the email security protocols, DNS security, and internet routing security and hygiene. What is very important here to clarify is that we're talking about available standards, right? There is no need and there is no ambition to create new things. This let's say domain is very well researched in most cases, so it's absolutely our goal to reuse existing available standards and practices. There is no need to duplicate any of the work already done. Just more gathering everything together for stakeholders to easily find. Some words about the membership and the structure this forum will have. So we're looking forward to have everyone on board. I mean, all the NIS2 stakeholders, communities like you, vendors, I mean, national bodies. So everyone is welcome. There is no specific filtering. And we really hope that the call will reach all of them and they will be able to join. The forum is organized in these 4 categories that we mentioned. So we call them work streams. And in each work stream, there will be 1 or more chairs, kind of coordinating the work in the group. And very importantly, there will be a technical editorial group. So it will be kind of the pen holders, if you like, the people that will kind of take the work, the lead in drafting the reports and putting the things on paper. And of course, there needs to be a coordination group with the forum chair and all the work stream chairs, just to make sure everyone is aligned. And in also some cases, synergies will be shot. So some cases, these work streams will also need to kind of overlap a bit and provide expertise from one to the other. As you can imagine, there will be all kinds of meetings between these groups, and of course, all the necessary tools to do the work, like a collaboration platform, will be put in place so everyone is working online on the reports. Finally, the last part is about the planning. We aim, as Alejandro said, to kick off by end of September, have the first meeting, and then more or less every 3 months have a meeting in place. And our aim is to have by the end of 2026 the draft guidelines in all 4 categories, and then the next 6 months after consultations and discussions to finalize the documents and close this whole group. So the next steps for us is to finalize the organizational details and the terms of reference. There will be a call published, call for interest, by end of June. Of course, this is tentative. I mean, nothing is fixed yet, but this is our aim. This will be an open call, which means there will be no deadline. People will be open throughout this 2-year timeline, so anyone can join even later on, even when after the first meetings have started. And the kickoff will be in Brussels and the end of September, as I mentioned. So once we have, of course, all the information, that once this becomes final, we will for sure reach out to you, and we'll of course very welcome your participation. So that's all from me. And Goran, I don't know if Rudiger also managed to join in the meantime. We very much welcome any questions now, or of course you can reach to us by email for any comments, feedback. Yep. Thank you very much, Alejandro, for giving us the floor in this meeting.
No, thank you for joining, and I see that Martin made it in the end.
Great.
So...
Yeah, he had to commute from one meeting to another. Thank you.
I know. I work in Brussels too, and I know the struggle. It's not easy. Martin, I don't know if you want to say something before we move to the Q&A.
No, simply apologies for delay. The fact that my schedule was delayed and this schedule was a bit earlier didn't help for arriving on time, but I'm very well available now to also answer questions.
That's great. So thank you for making it happen. Sorry about the extra stress that we put on you. This is going fast. So I don't know if anybody, yes, Andre has raised hand. Please, Andre.
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you for joining this meeting and for this presentation, especially on short notice. I have a question about the status of this work, because as I understand, the Implementation Act is a regulation, so it's sort of effective directly. Does it mean that the guidelines and sort of selection of standards that this multi-stakeholder forum will produce will have sort of mandatory status, a mandatory to implement for all the entities that I mentioned and the NIS 2? Could you please clarify that?
Rudiger, you want to take that one? Yes.
Yes, so essentially you're asking what's the status of these guidelines. Do I understand correctly?
Yes.
And yes, of course, the legal obligation is the legal obligation, and the legal obligation, of course, is technology neutral, also in its requirements, what it says and what it states. However, then at the same time, there's the state of the art. And the state of the art is, of course, something which any agency, maybe even any court in case of disputes or whatever would look at, and in order to decide whether compliance is fulfilled or not. And in that sense, putting together this forum and having these guidelines is basically a support to the community to really collect the state of the art and be clear what is considered state of the art.
Thank you.
I have a question myself, because one of the things about NIS2 is that it's a bit vague, yeah, the who is involved and who is not involved. Have you mapped have you done any, because I know that the Joint Research Center is doing, you're studying the uptake of MANRS and seeing how MANRS is a reference, yeah, for good practice at least, yeah. Do you have any sort of have you done any mapping exercise about the organization that would be involved, affected under the NIS2 regulation in this for routing security? I mean, and their level of uptake for MANRS applications, something like that. Have you done any cross mapping those two? Because I think there's a bit of uncertainty who should be doing this, and I don't know if you see my point. I need a coffee, but.
No, the point is fairly clear, and thank you also for this question. So there's the list of addresses, which is in the legislation itself. And now your question, I understand as, yeah, if I'm falling under this list of entities, how can I be 100% sure that I'm really addressed by this or not? And here I'm not a legal expert on the NIS2 regulation, but to my understanding, there is a mapping which is done by the respective member states. And hence it would be clarified like this, but with the caveat that I'm not the expert from the legal perspective on this.
So it's basically based on their own definition of critical infrastructure, no? Because I know that changes from one country. There's not it's more or less, it's approximate, but it's not exactly the same. So based on that, then those network operators offering services or routing services to them, they will be involved by NIS2, no? That's the.
Well, there is basically as an entity you fall under NIS2 or you don't, and basically the first question is of course whether you fall under this list, and this makes it already pretty clear. But to my understanding, but as I said, not with full certainty, there's also a mapping which is prepared on the national level.
Okay, and are you planning to show any stats about make the connection? Because the latest MANRS uptake report, I think it was done 2023, I think. Are you planning to do any more update? Because we can help you with that. That's the MANRS Observatory is there, and we can, of course, the community can help you with that. But I don't know if it's on the roadmap or not.
That question is probably easier to answer by my colleagues, from the JRC who are running the webpage for us, where we also look at the numbers, how this develops. But in principle, I think it's foreseen, since we do this with all the numbers. But please, I let this to the colleagues.
Yes, so yeah, thank you, Rudiger. And so we continue. I think, Alejandro, you're aware of the website we have on the monitoring MANRS. So this is a work in progress, so it's continuously updated. I think the new update, I don't know if it's already online, but should be very soon, the next day. So we're for sure MANRS is one of our main, let's say, sources of input. So for sure we're following your work here.
That's great, and this is I'm thinking about after the presentation of Timo. This is also a good reason to show that you are doing MANRS. Yeah, so those who are shy, maybe now they want to show. So I don't know if anybody has any other questions. I'm sorry, I was very interested about this aspect. Questions or comments? Okay, and on other topics, I'm not sure if there's big silence here. Maybe we can. Okay, so unless somebody, we can call it shorter and then give Martin some time to breathe and recover from the run across Brussels. So we can keep it shorter. This session is being recorded. I said that in the beginning, and gonna distribute it through the YouTube channel. And I hope there is we have the MANRS Community mailing list where this debate can continue. And Martin and Ioannis and Goran, feel free to either forward whatever you want to tell the community. You can forward it to us, or you can join the MANRS Community mailing list. I can share the details so you can communicate directly, yeah, without us being bridge. Yeah, but I let you decide on that. Yeah, so we are here to help, and yeah, let's see how the rest of the community. Yeah, because now tonight we have the second session. Yeah, so the west side of the world will not see your presentation, but we will let them know that it happened, and so for Timo, and we'll refer to the YouTube channel for them to see what was discussed. Yeah. So thank you everybody, and yeah, it was a good call. We can call it shorter, giving you back 25 minutes of your time, which is always nice. And for those who are really MANRS fans, we'll see you at night in like 10 hours from now. Yeah. So thank you everybody, and yeah, that's it for the moment. Thank you. See you.
Thank you.
And
Bye-bye.
remember, November the 12th, I'll share the screen so that everybody, that's the next meeting. Yeah, we have. Okay. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.